chose that episode because of the element of honesty. And that's the thing I feel like, no matter what out of all the elements, honesty is that one that I feel, hold that to your core no matter what. Because if you're honest in two ways, honest not just with everyone around you, but honest with yourself about what feels right to your gut. Applejack never felt comfortable lying about the tonic. She wasn't being honest with herself, and therefore wasn't being honest with every pony else. And ergo, Granny almost did a ridiculous dive into a pie tin that was about this high, which I really don't know how any pony would have survived that period, let alone Granny Smith. But the other reason I chose that clip too is the concept of the placebo effect. The concept of that there is that reality that sometimes there are those things we can use to give us that boost, and being kind of acknowledging that within ourselves, that there are things we can use to help boost our self-esteem. And a lot of times we're capable of more than what we think we are. The human body is capable of so many things. Like adrenaline can cause people to lift cars to save people and things like that. These things have happened. So imagine the possibilities that exist that are within you. Always remind yourself, people have done crazier things than this X thing I think I can't do. Don't let yourself get down. And if it takes a little something to boost it up, that's fine. Just know that that power is within inside of you at all times. So we talked a little bit about the fact that no pony's perfect. Obviously, it's something to keep in mind. Now, the other side of that coin is the concept of forgiving yourself. I know for myself, I've suffered from clinical depression and generalized anxiety since I was about this tall. It has been a pain in my butt for a long time. And one thing that happens with me is that my mistakes play in my head over and over and over again. It's been very difficult for me to forgive myself for what I did and own up to it. And it takes a little bit to get everybody else to go, okay, that's part of it too. Let's take a look at this with Fluttershy here.
Please, just leave me alone. Fluttershy, what's wrong?
We want answers!
Yeah, we're entitled to know. What is it, every pony? We want to know why Fluttershy keeps learning the same thing over and over again. Be assertive already.
Even I've learned more than she has. Why can't I be your book?
What? Really? Are you attacking my friend because you want to be in a book? It's okay. I got this, girls. Listen up. I am voicing her. Oh, yes. Now I'll get there. But can you honestly say that you can learn something one time and completely change who you are? I didn't think so.
Wow. You're way different from the Fluttershy in the book. I don't know how I feel about that.
It took Fluttershy seasons to become more assertive. And even still, as we saw in last week's episode, she still is going to have her moments. There's still going to be things that push us. It's important to not beat yourself up. I've done that so many times. Anybody who suffered from a little bit of stress or anxiety, you might have felt like this.
Number 15, let's go.
Not that, though.
There's only time for one more performance. If you both want to compete, we'll just have to go out there together. Remember, Flash? Shall we?
That little clip, to some people that may seem a little extreme or over dramatized for TV, to me, that was very real. I've had those moments where I basically was lying in the fetal position, where I couldn't bring myself to get out of bed to go do something. I spent an entire summer as a kid basically in bed because I was too afraid to face the outside world. Stress and anxiety can do so much to a person, and it's about time we recognize that as a society, and we own up that it's still there. You're good. Don't worry, honey. You're good. We're not flawless, but anyway.
Plant bad.
I need a rim shot thing on my phone app or something. But lost myself. Yeah, there's I saw something online one day about where somebody had called off to work and told their boss they needed a mental health day, and a lot of people are scared to do that, and their boss actually replied to them saying, I'm really happy that you can recognize this within yourself, that you can take this and own up to this. That honesty that we need with ourselves and with others that we talked about in that last segment is crucial to understanding the real effects of things like stress, like depression, like anxiety, being honest about it, being able to have these discussions. We're afraid to do it a lot of times, and it's a big thing to face it not just within ourselves and have these conversations about, why am I holding this within myself? What am I doing to myself? And looking at how do we get better. A lot of that is through friendship, through being able to be confident enough to have those conversations with those others around you when you're feeling down, saying, hey, this is happening, and I just need to talk it. Sometimes we just need to vent and get it out of us. I know I do it sometimes. My honey here can vouch for that. You just have those times where you need to get things out. But it's important, again, I said about forgiving yourself. Don't beat yourself up if it takes a little bit. Just remember what Fluttershy said in mid-season 4, I think this is.
You did it, Fluttershy! See, that wasn't so bad. And you didn't look completely petrified for the fact that we're all staring at you at all. How do you feel? Surprisingly, okay. Fantastic. Because the Ponytoes have been booked for the Apple Family Zap Apple Jam Extraordinaire. Oh no, I couldn't do that. Seriously? I'll get there someday. But for now, baby steps, every pony. Baby steps.
Baby steps. It's okay to take baby steps. If you're taking baby steps, it means you're moving in the right direction. You're going the right way. You're doing little things to help yourself. You may not be able to conquer things in one day, and that's okay. A lot of times, and I do this with myself to this day still, is I will beat myself up like, oh, I wanted to get this done today, but I really didn't feel right and I couldn't get it done. And then it's that domino effect of, okay, I didn't get this done, which means I didn't get that done, which means I can't do this. And if I don't get this done, and then it's easy to let your mind run wild. Keep in mind the baby steps. It's okay that you didn't get everything done. Did you get a little bit done? Cool. Celebrate that and say, tomorrow I'm gonna do that much more. And the next day I can do a little bit more. Give yourself the opportunity to grow. We can't just do it in one day. Again, like I said, we're not flawless. We're gonna make mistakes. We're gonna fall a little bit on our path to redemption within ourselves, redemption with others. It happens, and it's okay. Don't expect yourself or anybody else to just flip a coin or just snap their fingers and all of a sudden everything's back. It takes some time, and it takes understanding from us within ourselves and from us within our community, our friends, and those else that we know. The other thing that is important to keep in mind with forgiving yourself, and especially with others, we learned at the end of Fame and Misfortune. If it plays. Maybe.
Girls,
Yes.
there are two ponies who have something I think you should hear. We just wanted to say thank you to all of you. Yeah, our friendship? Well, we were having trouble until we read your journal. It showed us that friends can go through all sorts of tough times and come through stronger than before. It's made us better friends than we've ever been. Really? Mm-hmm. Oh, I can't tell you how much it means to hear that. Thank you for telling us. We've had a tough couple of days, but knowing we've helped Billies like you, it makes everything we've been through worth it. Absolutely. That's come and go. Friendship is forever. There are worse things than not being able to do anything without being told by boss. We can't change the way other ponies think about us, but we can change how we let it affect us. Or how we don't let it affect us. Go ahead.
keep in mind, you can't please everyone. There's always going to be those people that no matter what you do, how you change, how you grow, they're still going to have that something in their head. And keep in mind, it's not about pleasing everybody. It's not about making a difference in every single person's life. That is not realistic. It's one thing that honestly I've been beating myself up about, and it's one of the reasons I wanted to do this panel. Because I think it was last October, November, I had a thing where, you know, like I have people that I know and friends that I know that I see them do things and I'm like, I literally have done a panel that shows you how not to do this, and you keep doing the things, and yeah, am I not reaching people? Is what I do matter? And I really went within myself for a little bit, and one thing that a few friends said to me is, look at the people you have helped. Look at the people who have come up to you and said, thank you for doing this panel, or thank you for telling me about this and making me think about this episode in a different way. And it really hit home to me in that I'm not gonna change the world in a day, and I'm not gonna, all of a sudden give a panel and all of a sudden we won't be bombing each other. But if we can make a little bit of difference in some pony's life in the way that the journal helped those little fillies, you've made a change for the better in this world. Doing little things helps. I don't have a clip from it, but if you remember I believe it was Made in Manhattan episode, the one with Coco Pomel's theater troupe, the lesson from that is that if every pony chips in a little bit, we can all make a big difference. If everybody helps out, one person, two people in your life, if everyone does that, think about the effect that happens globally when you add up all those people who have been helped, who have received a message, who have had somebody a shoulder to cry on, somebody just give them a hug when they need it. I love giving hugs and receiving hugs. Sometimes people just need a hug. Sometimes people just need a vent. And if you can do that, you've made a difference in this world, and you matter, and you're important. And that's something to always keep in mind. So we've talked about ourselves, remembering that we're not perfect, we need to forgive ourselves. But how about those we look up to? How about those people that we hold as our personal heroes? We'll take a look at this now with one pony's big hero. And I gotta say, going to conventions, there's a lot of great guests here. A lot of great people, and they're wonderful. Has anybody, I interchanged them. Any pony this weekend gone up to one of the VIPs or gotten in line and you find yourself kind of like this?
Think fast. This is your big chance to impress her with your quick wit and courage. I am so
I see some nods. It's easy to do it because let's face facts. When we get into our role models, our heroes, we have these perceptions of them. Like they are kind of this holier than thou. And it's important to keep in mind that they are people too. All of our voice actors are people too. I'll tell you, last night at the dance, I'm out on the dance floor, and I'm looking in front of me, and Caitlin Bairstow is on the dance floor right in front of me. Ian Hanlon's next to her, and Brenda Hickey's behind me, just chilling with us. And I'm like, this is the coolest thing. They're one of us. They're chilling and having a good time, the same as everyone else. And that's what I love about a lot of the people in this community, and a lot of not just people just in the community and community guests and such from your YouTubers and whatnot, but the show staff itself loves coming here, loves interacting with us. Like if you pass Larson on the hallway and you're like, sign me, he'll probably do it. I've seen him do it. So I've yet to be signed, but that's mainly because I want him to always sign other things. But he has signed, I think he signed one of the writer's nieces or something like that one time. And I remember them tweeting, "You've got